Hello everyone, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another sweet Legacy stream. Today we are going to be playing with... Alright, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know what to call this deck. It's like a blue-black Planeswalker, Curses, Chalice of the Void, Yorion Value Blink deck. So there's a lot of disparate things going on here that are probably going to be held together largely on the back of Chrome Mox. We'll kind of see how this goes. This is a donation deck list by Reaplecheap, I believe, who has been working on the Curses archetype off and on. So the kind of core play here is that you're looking to stick something blue-black. Why am I playing this? Well, I know the answer to that. The answer is because I was paid $12, just like why I stream everything else that I do on this channel. But very happy to be playing with the Curses again because they were like so much fun. Alright, so in case you haven't seen the Curses gameplay before, the idea is that you stick Curse of Misfortunes on a player, and then you follow it up with some number of Curse of Death's Hold, Overwhelming Splendor, and Cruel Reality, which sort of like Curse of Misfortunes becomes a one-turn combo if you're not dead, in that Curse of Death's Hold plus Overwhelming Splendor kill all of your opponent's creatures, and then Cruel Reality bleeds them out over the course of 4 turns. Unlike other versions of this deck, though, this is not all in on the Curses. We have a Blink package here with things like Baleful Strix, Prophetic Prism, and some other things with ETB triggers like Oath of Jace. So it enters the battlefield, you draw 3, discard 2, and then at the beginning of your upkeep you scry X, where X is the number of planeswalkers you control. That gives you a little bit of selection without going and doing things like playing Brainstorm and Ponder and Preordain, because you're also a Chalice of the Void deck. We also have a handful of Planeswalkers here, including one that like basically sees no legacy play, Dovin Hand of Control. It has a Thalia effect on it for your opponents, and you can also like bubble or fog a damage source, which is pretty cool. The sideboard is largely a Karn package, so everything in this left column here is just the Karn package. So it's Lattice Bridge, Spyglass Coating, Cage, Crypt, Seat, which covers a lot of different ground. You might think it's weird that this deck is playing both Cage and Crypt, but Grafdigger's Cage does not work on Gyruda, which is something that is very relevant right now. Yeah, so looking at Chrome Mox here, remember Chrome Mox is non-artifact, non-land card. So while you can imprint something like a Karn, because it is colorless, we're not going to be able to imprint like Chalice, Prophetic Prism, Baleful Strix, or Lotus Petal. Otherwise, there's not really much in the sideboard. Well, we're kind of stuck with our Game 1 configuration largely. We have Plague Engineer for fair stuff, especially where Chalice might be bad, and we have Mystical Dispute for combo. We also have a Curse of Exhaustion to tutor up for if we get paired against something like TES or Ant. Yes, Cage, sorry, did I say that wrong? Cage works on Gyruda, Crypt doesn't. So a lot of times the Karn decks just play Crypt in the sideboard and then something like Leyline, but Grafdigger's Cage also is going to stop the Gyruda stuff. First impression is Dovin's main goal is to make Chrome Mox a Tundra. Well, Tundra is a really good Magic card, so if we can make more Tundras, that's probably okay. We have some oddballs in the mana base, most notably something like Darkwater Catacombs, in that like you can play a colorless land like Ancient Tomb and convert the mana into blue-black for Baleful Strix or Ashiok, which is kind of interesting. Why not play Aethersworn Canonist so we can get it with Karn? So Curse of Misfortunes would be a really bad card against a Storm deck, so having Curse of Exhaustions as something that, like, if you turbo a Curse out versus Storm or another combo deck, that you can fetch this up to slow down the rest of the game, that definitely has its own value. You also have a number of other effects that might be okay versus a combo deck that you can tutor up with Karn. So like Bridge would be good against Show and Tell. Cage or Crypt has utility versus like TES or Ant. So, like, it adds a degree of utility to cards that otherwise would be pretty bad, and I think that's important when, in many ways, we don't have a real sideboard. Let's just kind of jump into games tonight. I just wanna jam some Magic. Haven't played much Magic this week in my off time. I'm gonna start up a Monster Train video series for YouTube. So I spent the last 2 days recording my first 5 runs for that series, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get that to take off, because I love Monster Train, and if I can get a small-ish following for that for people who are really interested in watching it, I would be very happy to like continue to play Monster Train for like months and months and months. That game is great. Dr. Bill, in particular, given your love of Slay the Spire, you should check that game out. It was one of the first like deck builders since like Slay the Spire, where I played a few games and I'm like, oh man, this game goes deep, and I'm super interested in it. It's still too early to tell whether or not like I'm going to like it more than Slay the Spire. I think Slay the Spire is like yeah, I think Slay the Spire is like a perfect game with like huge staying power, and I don't know, I probably got Slay the Spire like 2 years ago now or something like that, and I'm still playing runs very regularly. I kind of think Monster Train is going to be the same way, where like Slay the Spire and Binding of Isaac and Dead Cells and things like that, I'm just going to want to keep coming back to it. Alright, we are playing against a Gyruda deck. We have 2 different pieces of initial counter magic. My Chalice of the Void on 0 is fine. Gyruda doesn't cause search, right? It's look at. Or no, it's just put. Regardless, I think this is about as good as we're going to get against a deck like this one. Yeah, okay, so what I was about to say is it's interesting whether or not I just like Force of Negation and LED. I believe that the answer is hell yeah, brother. Yeah, a lot of our cards are going to be bad. So the reason that I pitched the Baleful Strix over the Ashiok there is that I don't want to put something in play that my opponent... Yeah, shit. That my opponent can copy. We're going to Chalice on 0 in this matchup, even though it's going to shut off 8-ish of my cards. The Gyruda cometh, hopefully much later. That's 1 soul land away from uncounterable Gyruda. We could also just get like Thought Not Seared. So that's going to be a Phyrexian Metamorph to copy a Chrome Mox and imprint the last card in their hand. Or one of the last 2 cards in their hand. If I Force of Will this might take the cake as the weirdest Force of Will I've ever done. But hear me out. Opponent has to get a soul land in order to play Gyruda from here without losing City of Traders, or have like another LED. Whereas if I don't force this metamorph, they can just play another land of any nature and then cast Garuda, and I probably die. It's fucked up. Just force a will to Chrome Mox that cost them life. Okay, hold on. Alright, my mouse mapping is not working. Alright, we gotta fix that. Yes. Oh, okay, it's 6, not F6. One moment. Apologies, chat. I installed some new software for managing my mouse settings. Okay. Keys 6. No, not use default. Alright, this button, 6 key. No, not. Please. Let me assign the button. Select assignment 6. Okay, problem solved. Sorry about the delay there, chat. Alright, new Ashiok, which I can't cast. That's okay. I also thought the default was F6, but I guess like based on when I installed Magic Online on this specific PC, which would have been last year, the default must have changed to 6. Yeah, so my custom mouse buttons, I just leave them at one generic setting. I have 6 set to the side button where my thumb rests for moto reasons. And then I have Control-C and Control-V set as my generic bonus cards, or not, generic bonus side buttons. Yeah, and everyone still refers to it as F6. This is insane as soon as I draw another land. But my window to do it is very small. Shit. Alright, that's the soul land. So now we're hoping for a whiff so that I can, like, Karn, get Ensnaring Bridge. Alright, so they're choosing to go the Gyruda route instead of just grabbing the Thought-Knot Seer. We're still okay. Everything's still legendary. Hold up. That stops the chain, right? So that's a Dax duplicate, I believe. So they're just going to get... Oh, no, they didn't use the ability. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Whenever this creature attacks, the player with the most life or tied for the most life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Dethrone has, like, never been relevant in a game of Legacy that I played. I don't actually know the text of that. Alright, so now I'm taking 10 damage. If I tap the soul land, I die. So I'm just dead. GG's. No, they didn't mess up. They opted no on their trigger. Alright. So Mystical Dispute is a 1-mana counter target Gyruda unless my opponent has Cavern of Souls. That seems fine. So I don't really get to board a lot of cards, I don't think. I think I need to leave the cage in the sideboard as a tutor target. And the same goes for like Ensnaring Bridge. So I think I just get 3 cards to board in. And I believe Gyruda is just putting into play, not allowing you to cast those, so Curse of Exhaustion doesn't really do anything. Okay, anything that's slower, we can board out. I can't really see myself casting Prophetic Prism in the early turns of this matchup. Playing Baleful Strix just gives my opponent targets to copy. Actually, maybe like Baleful Strix is just worse than Prophetic Prism for that reason. My Yorion's going to be a little worse, but I think I'm okay with that. And then I guess Murderous Rider is fine. If I kill a Gyruda with its trigger on the stack, that eliminates many, but not all of the outs. I would like to not cut a blue card for Force of Will and Force of Negation reasons. Or no, I need to keep one more card. Alright, one Bird Friend. I would like to play first. Well, Bob just won a Super PTQ, whatever they're called, with Gyruda. So I think they're at least a little bit busted. I'm 100% keeping this hand, and no one can stop me. We get to Chrome Mox and Omen of the Sea. Play a Chalice on 0 and have 3 counterspells. Yeah, Bob's busted. We should ban Bob. You're right. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. It's like obviously sketch, but I think we do it. So actually, I guess the real... No, we want the blue source for the Mystical Dispute. So we do imprint that. We play the Chalice. All Bobs are banned. Just no chances taken. If my opponent just goes like another Soul Land into Thought-Knot Seer or something, my life is super awkward. But apparently we hose them pretty hard. One more land and we get a Planeswalker, and life is great. Yeah, Dovin, Hand of Control. Need mana. Need mana badly. I have a lot of interaction. You're just going to cast a Restoration Angel. Do I care? If I don't force this, I'm more likely to want to force other clone effects like Phantasmal Image that otherwise aren't doing anything right now. Like, given that I have like Stone Cold Nothing, I think I do answer this. Yeah, I know Dovin can nerf it, but I'm not guaranteed to draw a land. I don't want more of their cards to be live. No. Absolutely not. I can't lose this mana source here, and I also probably die if I lose this Chalice of the Void. Obviously not where I want to be. I'm like giving up these counter spells over the fights that don't necessarily matter. Well, that fight matters, but like it's not the fight that the match is over. All right. So now, unfortunately, I don't have black for Murderous Rider, and I'm 1 mana short of Curse of Misfortunes. Curse of Misfortunes will win this game. I did get a land, and I'm happy for it. But like, this is definitely a thank you, sir, can I have another sort of situation. Alright, that is a Phyrexian Metamorph for a Chrome Mox. I believe that I have to let that go. It's very awkward. I think I'm going to let that go and then hope they don't have Chalice. Or not Chalice, Cavern of Souls. I know those are very different things, but my brain was going in a weird direction there. Alright. I play that. I don't have black, so this is going to go. I'm going to take the Ancient Tomb. I guess that means I'm discarding Omen of the Sea. I now have Curse of Misfortunes next turn with Mystical Dispute up. Not Cavern, not Cavern, not Cavern. Man, good thing the numbers here work out in my favor. Just barely, though. Free mana leak is legit. I have no planeswalkers. Prophetic Prism, not what I'm looking for here. I'm going to enchant you. So I have another mana leak for a Gyruda this turn. Fuck. Unsure whether or not... Oh, that is just playing that out? Oh, then we're fine. Yeah. I maybe don't need to tap the Ancient Tomb there, but I get a lot of high roll things if I do. So you can metamorph a Prophetic Prism. You can metamorph a Chrome Mox. Yes, that's fine. All your stuff is small. All your stuff is small? Or should I just start killing you? I think I start killing you. Okay. I think no changes here. Again, I don't really want to give my opponents targets for their Baleful Strix, so I think I'm good with things as they stand now. Yeah, Colby, it is a sweet pile of cards. It's hard to name. Demir Walkers, Blue-Black Curses, Blue-Black cards I own. You know, whatever we call it, it's fun. Blue-Black cards I rented. Slightly more accurate. Shoutouts to Card Hoarder for supporting this stream and all of the bullshit that I play. Oh man. I like totally forgot about my Yorian. So there's a problem with this hand. And the problem with this hand is these are the cards that I want to tutor up. So I think we're shipping this one back, even though I do have a Force of Negation for an LED. I have a Mystical Dispute that I can't cast. Turn 1 Ashiok doesn't do anything. It mills 20 cards from my opponent, and that's all. I can hold up Murderous Rider as interaction. No, I can't, because I would put it under Chrome Mox. Or no, I'd put Chrome Mox back. So I would go turn 1 Ashiok off C Petal Petal, and not even have Murderous Rider held up after that. So if I keep this hand, it would be more like turn 1 Underground Sea, Mox, Imprint, Ashiok, then have Murderous Rider up for turn 2 and afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. No. I also don't feel good about this. But this is probably the point where we just keep hands. Turn 3 Karn shutting off all of their artifact mana is acceptable. This goes back. This goes back. Done. They also don't know that I'm on nothing. They're going to guess that I mulligan very aggressively to counter magic. Don't LED me. Okay. Okay. Chrome Mox means that I can get Karn next turn. So I just need to dodge for one turn. That's great. Thought Not Seer here is a little annoying. Kinda. For some reason, I can't see the deleted message. Would you just kind of message me and let me know what that was about? I'm sure it was a fine ban. I just want to know for my reference. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Good work. Keep it up. I'm not going to imprint the Curse of Misfortunes under Mox here. Awkwardly, my opponent can go blue producing land and then Phantasmal Image the Thought Not Seer, which would be super annoying for me if I don't put this under this. But I think I need to play towards drawing a colored spell so that I can just play this curse. Curse of Misfortunes will beat my opponent at this stage. No, I haven't done a stream in Latin. That is a lot of mental energy. It also would be extremely difficult. Alright, well, I'm just going to F6 here. Like, if you got it, you got it. Straight up, I don't know if you're supposed to actually go for the win there. Like, obviously they got the win. But, like, given that they know that I have Curse of Misfortunes and that, like, is very much a card that can beat them, I wonder if it was correct to just, like, take Garuda, and then when they get the first clone or Restoration Angel effect, instead Thought Not Seer me, take the Curse of Misfortune. We played more turns of Magic than I expected to. But our own clunk was kind of costly to us. Yes. So my opponent has played a decent amount of things like Red Prison and lands, so it may just be correct to play a Chalice on 0 here and accept that it could be awkward if I'm wrong. I think it's best to not think about WotC's decisions anymore. just like be prepared to be disappointed 2 to 3 times a week when they make decisions, and just be ready for whatever terrible thing happens. They really knocked it out of the park this week regarding decisions. All right. My chalice play may have been incorrect. That is currently unclear. So small. I do not want this. Force of Will is okay, but I don't think I want it either. Yeah, like I'm really looking for a soul land so that I can play Dovin next turn as sort of like the bait spell, and then Karn into Curse of Misfortunes, and just play 3 relatively high impact cards turn after turn after turn. It definitely looks silly that I did not play the Chalice on 1. But I was hedging based on known information about my opponent's deck choices. Strong play, Phil. Strong play. Best Chalice ever. This is just awkward Thalia here that gets attacked. Don't play Tarmogoyf, please. That is technically what I requested, but still bad. I kind of have the feeling that my opponent has a lightning bolt. There was a pause in the pre-combat main phase, and that seems to me like my opponent was thinking about whether or not they should just like cash in a bolt at my face and aggro my life total down. I'm not sure that Karn has text anymore this game. So, what am I doing? If I cast Karn, Karn minuses and gets Ensnaring Bridge. Ensnaring Bridge resolves, and I'm in pretty good shape. If I cast Curse and Curse resolves, I probably take 4 to 7 damage, maybe 10 damage maximum, before I get something in play that helps. The thing is that specifically if Karn gets countered, I'm very afraid that I'm dead. So my opponent, like say my opponent has Daze, Spell Pierce, Force of Will, or Force of Negation, any of those things. I cast Karn, Karn gets countered, they Lightning Bolt me end of turn, I'm at 14. They attack me for 4, I'm at 13. They flashback the bolt, I'm at 10. And then I take 4 more damage off the next attack down to 6 before I get to shrink these. I still take 2 from the damage down to 4 afterwards, and I'm still in like double bolt range. I think it's jam the curse this turn. And just hope they cannot interact with it. If I wait 1 more turn and I take 4 more damage, I just feel like this card has no text. Fuck. So I would have played Polluted Delta into Karn, and the Karn would have gotten countered instead. Like everything's obviously bad. So here's the bolt. I was nope, Brainstorm. Don't have a ballista, right? No, I don't. So the awkward thing is that as this game goes along, I'm going to have some things that I can draw but can't play. So Dreadhorde Arcanist still might be able to get in attacks even if I were to resolve Karn with Bridge. Like, my opponent has messaged me about Red Prison deck lists, and I've seen them play other, like, Chrome Mox or Mox Diamond decks in the past. So, like, I do not regret my decision, even though it was incorrect. Like, obviously, in the context of this specific game, it looks terrible. Sure does, but I have a feeling we don't have to worry about Luris for other reasons. Bolt me. Bolt me! Bolt me, you coward! I wanted them to bolt me. Then, like, my Yorion maybe has text. Yorion blinking single omen of the sea. Well, YOLO Carnbridge? YOLO Carnbridge. Don't daze me. Do not daze me. Oh, yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance. Unfortunately, Arcanist is still going to get to attack in this turn cycle. A lightning bolt. That sounds like a dead Karn. Look, Colby, we're not playing around things at this point. What do we look like? A player who has a decent board state? No. No, we don't look like that at all. See this hair? We're totally frazzled. We're on the ropes. Everything's dangerous. Do you remember that Lotus Petal I countered like a bunch of turns ago? If I wouldn't have countered that, next turn I could play Yori and blink Chalice and Oven of the Sea and then actually get another mana out of that Lotus Petal. Fuck Oko! God damn. I'm so tired of this card. Remember that Lotus Petal I was talking about? I could cast Yorion, blink Chalice, Bridge, Karn, after Karn minusing for Sorcerer Spyglass for Oko. I lose this game because I countered my own Lotus Petal. Yup. I deserve it. I 100% deserve it. That's so frustrating. And like I know my opponent has the bolt, so the Yorion doesn't do anything. The bridge gets killed again. That's tilting. Alright, Plague Engineers come in. Cut Karns and Oaths for Disputes and Plague Engineers. Yeah, I was thinking about the Oaths for the Plague Engineers. But if I'm being honest, like, Karn is our way to have consistent access to Ensnaring Bridge and Sorcerous Spyglass, both of which cards are pretty important. So I'm not sure that I'm going to board in the Mystical Disputes. Ashiok's fine. Like, we're not going to go so far as good, because, like, opponent has Tarmogoyf on a board, and, like, I play Ashiok, and I'll still have one or two cards in my graveyard, and the Ashiok will take too much damage from the Tarmogoyf. But, like, it's definitely fine against fetch lands, and it helps against some things my opponent can play, especially Dreadhorde Arcanist, and to a lesser extent things like Hooting Mandrills and Tarmogoyf. No, I'm going to keep all of the Chalices. So, like, if I resolve a 4-mana card and I get to tutor, I would probably get Ensnaring Bridge 100% of the time. If I'm on a safe-ish board. Probably not Chalice. Like, there's some weird scenarios where that's not true, where I have, like, exactly 6 mana when I play the Karn. Yes, you... Okay. Get out. Nope. This hand does nothing. This hand goes turn to Plague Engineer with a Force backup. Heh. Heh. Look, I'm not happy about this. We're going to play that one out, so if my opponent has Wasteland, they get that. Oh yeah. Resolves. I am naming Wizard. Alright, good game. We lost. Yeah, they mulliganed and had Delver plus double counterspell. Really triple counterspell. And like now they have an answer to whatever big artifact or enchantment we play. Yeah, we're totally dead. I mean, that's good. It like still gets answered by Return to Nature. It's also very awkward whether or not I am supposed to tap this Ancient Tomb or not. I think since I have another City of Trader, I don't take the damage. No, I'm happy with the hand that I kept. But initial creature plus double counterspell was what beat our hand. Nah, Force Negation's fine. It is not nearly... Like, it is a very good Magic card. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, so this was the sort of draw that punishes me for playing City of Traders. It's a very good card. But I don't think it's egregious. Like, it answers problems that Legacy had. So, like, it gives blue decks a way to fight with recurring threats like Life from the Loam and Punishing Fire that, like, otherwise previously almost always ate them alive. Gives fair decks more ways to fight against combo decks. It gives tempo decks more ways to try and get tempo. I think Force of Negation is, like, A+ design. And it's, like, not always free either. So, like, it has a real downside. It doesn't, like, just steamroll games. I'm going to play Curse of Misfortunes around single day, or do I just play it off City of Traders, and then I don't tap the Ancient Tomb, and I just have less mana to work towards in the future? I probably do that, actually. That's a little weird. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. The blue for Yorion afterwards is super relevant. Did my opponent get rid of Return to Nature with that Brainstorm? Like, there's a world where I just play Yorion here instead. Like, Yorion's harder to answer on current board, Stonewall's the Delver, and then I get another chance to play Curse later. Yeah, I kind of like that. If I play Yorion, though, I have to get Underground Sea. But we're already, like, in relative pain if opponent has a Wasteland. Alright, so, like, don't Brazen Borrower my Yorion back to my hand, basically. So Brazen Borrower, Tarmogoyf, and Oko are the things that are devastating on current board. If my opponent has Return to Nature, it's incredibly awkward to cast Curse of Misfortunes here. That said, I need to trade with this card at some point in this game, so why not now? Yeah. Alright, now I can dismiss that. Tarmogoyf? Ponder. Yeah, Ponder's fine. It's like obviously a very good card for them. Because like anything that just gets them closer to Oko, Tarmogoyf, Brazen Borrower, or even just like Force of Wills leaves them in a great situation. I mean, yes. You? I don't like that I'm in double bolt range now, but like it's not like I get the luxury of playing around anything this game. Yep. Card should not be legacy legal. Moving on. I think the current legacy format is both not fun and not interesting. No, that's probably a conversation for the podcast on Monday. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Yeah, all right. Weird hand in regards to what to do with this Chrome Mox. So, like, I'm going to play this land. And I guess it's fine to play... So, like, putting the Dark Ritual under it means that I can still cast turn 1 Ashiok. But putting the Oath of Jace under it means that I get a little bit of selection later and some Scry. But I don't necessarily have the same amount of stable mana. I think I'm going with the Dark Ritual under it. Doesn't matter what their names are. WotC doesn't care about them, regardless of what their names are. Alright, so my opponent's on Storm, and we stuck a turn 1 annoying card against them. I have shut off things like Infernal Tutor, making it relatively hard to put together a win. This also shuts off their fetch lands. I don't really have anything else going for me right now. Like, this Prophetic Prism isn't really going to do a ton. The Oath of Jace isn't really going to do a ton. That said, I still probably play the Oath of Jace because, like, the Scrying towards a Chalice is very good, rather than Prophetic Prism's random draw a card. And this land Ooh, the curse is not necessarily insane. I still probably keep it. I don't want Prophetic Prism. And I think I'm just going to junk the land here in hopes of spiking a land so that I can play the curse next turn. I have a lot of looks at a land. Well, not a lot of looks, but I have an extra look at a land due to Oath of Jace. We have 3 non-fetch lands in exile off of Ashiok. So opponent will be hard-pressed to find lands that are usable. Great. Alright, so I would like Mystical Disputes, I would like Curse of Exhaustion, I'd probably play Plague Engineer for goblins. I will probably board in Graft Digger's Cage and leave Tormod's Crypt in the sideboard. So that means I have 8 things to look at. So, what things are the worst? Does Overwhelming Splendor actually have text? Hold up. Not really. So that can go. Baleful Strix isn't impressive. Reality is still a finisher. Oh, it does. Yeah, like it. Yeah. When we get to the point where, like, Curse of Misfortunes has resolved, stopping fetches isn't really a super concern anymore. Baleful Strix is not really doing meaningful amounts of damage. That can probably be boarded out. This is like, eh. Murderous Rider, similarly, is not great. Like, the lifelink technically does things, but I don't know. I don't really think we need bodies. Yeah, something like that looks fine. Dovin has Thalia's text on it. I'm just saying, like, I think that's good. Yeah, I'm not judging you for not knowing that formula for death. That is not a card that sees a lot of legacy play. Like 100% giving you the pass here. No worries. I believe this hand is an awkward keep. It is very soft to a Thoughtseize effect, taking the Grafdigger's Cage, but we have 2 long-term Haymakers that become like very good once I draw like a Soul Land, a Dark Ritual, a Lotus Petal. Back in my day, everyone played Jace the Mind Sculptor and liked it. Yeah, for a while Jace was, not entirely, but largely the only playable Planeswalker in Legacy. And then things started to change after that with Liliana of the Veil. And from there we got a lot of really decent to good Planeswalkers. No, Karn is not an instant win. Karn is just very, very, very good in the matchup. Yeah, alright. Hole has been punched for my opponent. Ooh. Ooh! Great draw. The question is what number to put this on. So, my read on my opponent's hand is that they do not have artifact mana. If they had artifact mana, they play it out to play around a Chalice on 0 or another taxation effect. So I believe it is correct to play the Chalice on 1 here. LED, LED, Lotus Petal, die because Phil makes the wrong call. Alright, Infernal Tutor for Cabal Ritual, so opponent has a chance to, like, play big here. Soul Land would be clutch. No? Ashiok is still fine. It's going to be very good against the Cabal Rituals. The Chalice deck is good against the Storm deck. Who would have thunk? I was going to go on a little monologue there about like how scary this deck must be for a Storm player, but no time. Is Trashiok a he? I thought Ashiok was like ambiguously gendered or something like that, and it's like a they. Legit question. I'm not a lore person. I have not watched Saturday Night Live in years, so I don't get the joke, but I'm going to assume that it was funny. Yes? Yeah, sure. This deck is kind of unfocused, and so I don't really know what I'm supposed to mulligan for. Obviously, the answer was Force of Will, given how aggressively and quickly my opponent is mulliganing. So that's unfortunate, but maybe this will bail us out on turn 3. Lands, Loam, Turbo Depths. Yep. Lotus Petal would be cool, so I can kill that. Force of Will, you are 1 card too late and quite awkward now. Ugh. I'm bottom both of these. I'm like not excited about these. I would rather draw soul lands. I have a land for next turn. Yeah, I forgot Omen has flash. Well, I'm glad I played around Wasteland. That is going to make future turns quite awkward, though. Because, like, I play Darkwater Catacomb and it gets wasted after I kill Bob. I don't think I can let that resolve. Because, like, that would just kill the Planeswalker anyway and make a future Dark Depths devastating. So we're kind of hoping that, like, killing the Bob here puts us at parity with our opponent, and that, like, our Yorion can take over the game as the game goes very long. Oh my gosh. Crop rotation versus Jury Step here is devastating. Alright, they have it. But it's like not correct to wait until their upkeep, because then they get another card from Bob. So like now my opponent gets pulled further out of their mulligan by this Bob. And like I go down on mana, so I don't get to cast my Haymakers this game. This is also... Alright, we're dead. I'm not going to concede yet, but I am not beating Sylvan Library. Absolutely not, especially if I miss my land here. Which I did not, but like, Sylvan Library buries me. I think I need to draw a soul land this turn to play Curse of Misfortunes while it's still relevant. Oh, well. This is good. Cool. I'm not going to tutor anything yet to expose it to discard. We'll just blow that up. But Sylvan Library. Do you know how good this card is? I don't understand. I don't get it. This probably comes in for Vampire Hexmage reasons. I probably board in Sorcerer's Spyglass and keep Bridge and Coding in the sideboard as the primary things that I'm tutoring up. So I'm looking at 4 cards here. Sure, I could see just boarding in another mana source as well. What do I board out? Like, I'm not going to say that my cards seem good, but most of my cards seem not bad. Like, I can see this being slow. I just board out some of this sort of stuff. Chalice is also, like, kind of whatever. But crop rotation is really annoying with Murderous Rider. And, to a lesser extent, Dovin. I also see Force of Negation kind of being whatever. Yes, mic is different. Webcam is new. So I did some adjustment of microphone levels, and hopefully it sounds a little bit better. The default volume should be louder than it was previously after I did some adjustments. I'm very certain of that. Audio quality, in theory, should be higher as well. This is probably a keep. It's a weird keep, though. It's a keep where... Alright, that's really good to know that that's out of the way. It's a keep where I hope to not have to force a will on turn 1, so that I have something to pitch. Okay. So this happens, and this happens, and now I Chrome Mox something and play something. I kind of want to play Chalice on this turn, so that if I draw a land, I can just Karn next turn. And I think that means play Curse of Misfortunes under it here, and then just have like multiple Planeswalkers as the primary plan. And this lets me force something like a Bob that would come down on turn 2. So, like, I think the base difference is that it's going to be about 30 decibels louder. Tarmogoyf. I let you resolve and Dovin you for a whole bunch of turns? Or do I just counter you? That's really weird. Like, Karn on an empty board is, like, pretty disgustingly good. But, like, the Karn's not 100% castable yet. I don't know. It's weird because, like, this can reset this Planeswalker. So I think I go with not force. It's definitely a little weird, though. Land, 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 yes. I still think it's you. But now I just do it a little bit more cleanly. It's just awkward if, like, opponent follows up with the Bob here that I now can't counter because I've dropped Force of Will protection. weird turn in terms of loyalty of specific creatures. So I have 5 mana here. Dobin is going to minus on Tarmogoyf because like I'm going to grow it by 1 pretty easily. There's worlds where I just hold up Force of Will. There's worlds where I play Karn and downtick. Like Karn downtick, get Lattice. I draw a land in the next turn cycle. Then I play Lattice, animate Lattice. And it's GG. I'll play Yorion the following turn. I'm playing around Wasteland currently, but if I want to play Yorion, I will need another blue source. I have the Lotus Petal for that. Let's get a Swamp and continue to play around Wasteland. Yeah, let's high roll this. Assuming my opponent casts anything, the Tarmogoyf is as big as Bob. And if my opponent can cast 2 things, then Tarmogoyf is bigger than Bob. So I'm going to go ahead and minus there. Yeah, 2020. 2020 is very good against the line that I took. It's super unfortunate. JK, never mind. Opponent, like, super misplayed by doing that. Now I can Dovin it. Alright, did not hit the land. So this is going to instead be a Yorion turn. So I'll go ahead and minus this on your Merit Lodge. I will cast Yorion, and blinking with Yorion is actually going to reset the loyalty of both of these Planeswalkers up to a higher total. I can't minus with Karn, so we'll just, like, do nothing with Karn. I am totally good with that. They come back EP. End phase. Yeah, I know. But, like, I can Karn plus on nothing and do nothing with it. So, like, I'm good with just, like, not ticking up the card at all because it has no effect. So next we will have Karn minus for bridge if we don't just get like an ensnaring bridge lock that immediately wrecks our opponent. No. Absolutely not letting you eat one of my planeswalkers here. Yeah, sure, Abrupt Decay is a very reasonable card that they might have. You're attacking Karn with multiple creatures. I will block the big one here. Karn can take 2. More bonus Karn. Alright, we're not like 100% to win this game or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but we're in a very, very good position. Soul Land means we have Mycosynth Lattice Lock. Vampire Hex Mages are very good for my opponent, though. Dovin is being attacked by Tarmogoyf, and Karn is being attacked by Bob. Good play, opponent. Good play. So I can't lose this without dying, so that means I do have to take an awkward block here. I have another Karn, though, so, like, very much not the end of the world. I would hope to just draw a Soul Land so I can play Lattice and then play Karn in that order. The Tarmogoyf now being a 5/6 is super awkward for me. So I have Planeswalker and Artifact. I can play Karn and shrink Goyf a little bit. It's like definitely a weird line, but it looks like it's what's happening. This has the incidental side effect of exiling everything that's in my graveyard, giving me more wish targets for Karn. So this is going to turn Lotus Petal and Ensnaring Bridge back into viable wish targets. Alright, so Doan is being attacked by both of those. So I'm going to go ahead and Tormod's Crypt myself here. Shrink down the Tarmogoyf. And then I need to decide whether I'm killing Tarmogoyf or Bob. I have Ensnaring Bridge to stop Merit Lodge in the future, so it's not like I have to kill this. And it might just be better to kill Bob so I have more looks at... Or sorry, so my opponent has fewer looks at another decay for Bridge. It's like, it doesn't matter whether this takes 2 or 3 if ensnaring bridge is my primary plan for the next turn. So maybe I cryptid myself a little bit early. Well, opponent might not have realized that I was going to get bridge back. So we'll take ensnaring bridge and play ensnaring bridge. And then next turn I'll have lattice. So they have this turn to have decay. Yeah, library is fine. All right, and we're done here. I'm going to fetch so that... Oh, no, I don't even need to. Ha 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 ha. Okay, like, great opponent. Like, you don't get to cast spells for the rest of the game. We're done. You might not know we're done yet, but like we're done. I would need to have like 5 Force of Wills in my hand in order for those things to attack. So it's kind of interesting here. I can minus card, get another Karn, but that gives them a chance to cast a spell. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, we're done here. We've won this game. Opponent is just mad. I'm fine with slowly destroying everything that they know and love. I'm good with that. Oh yeah, they're right. They're already artifacts. It's a good point. I wonder how long my opponent is gonna sit here and do that. This is very boring. That's just to empty my hand. I know it's getting countered. I could like plus Karn on my own chalices if I thought it mattered, but like it does not. I'm gonna start thinning my deck. Okay, now that this is a redraw, we'll plus on this chalice on 2 and get it out of the way. Has my opponent conceded here? What the heck is going on? That was weird. Okay, so now I'll just need to like counter one of my own spells at some point to get these out of my hand. We're not in any danger of actually getting to 6 cards in hand. I can also just get to the point where I can swing lethal in one turn, I guess, theoretically. Okay, now we win. Oh my god. Oh, my opponent is salty. Their first comment was just like, this is fun. They have literal no outs to this. Don't be this person. Like, you've just wasted, 10 minutes of our collective time. Does this lose flying? It does. Cool. So now I can attack with, like, Yorion and Strix. Just, like, get this game over faster. I guess just Strix, sorry. You know what? Like, no attacks at this point. I don't care. We're doing this the slow way. This is what you want. You want to bleed to death. Yeah, fuck it. Don't care anymore. Cool. I'm very firmly in the camp of always concede to infinite combos on Magic Online and always concede to spots where you are deterministically dead. Because otherwise games like that happen, and it's no fun for anyone. Like, there is no EV gained for you by playing out a game like that. Like, given the speed of their deck, they could have played another match in the time that they wasted there. So, like, it's their choice what they do with their time, but, like, there's nothing to gain. Yeah, it's just cringe. But whatever. But like it just sucks all of the energy out of the game for everyone involved. Like, I'm not excited about this stream anymore. You know, most of the people in chat are probably doing other things at this point. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not good for you. It's not good for the opponent. It's not good for anyone watching a stream. It's just negative EV for everyone involved. But whatever. There's some people who like to do that sort of stuff. This is probably a keep. It's possible that my mic is set high enough that you're picking up my computer fan. So with another land, I have turn 3 Curse of Misfortune with a counterspell backup, casting a Baleful Strix on turn 2. Now this is awkward. Because I have exactly 2 1-drops in the deck, and I have one of them in my hand. I think I do Force of Will this. This is super weird. It's also going to make my opponent think that I care about Chalice of the Void for future games, and like, that definitely has its own merits. No, I think the way that I win this game easily is by playing a turn 3 Curse of Misfortunes and hitting another land drop. I also don't know that I'm playing against Eldrazi for sure. And like, the play plat pattern... Okay, yeah. So like, we don't need to play around Thought Nuts here. Yeah, Blood Moon is fine. I think I'm just waiting a turn rather than trying to like ram out something like this. This is a little bit of an awkward draw. That's not great for me. Yeah, Rabble Master is fine. I am not going to use my Dark Ritual to kill that. We have Curse of Death's Hold in hand. That's yet another bad draw. So now we're going to trade Strix for Rabble Master given the opportunity. The scariest timeline is the timeline in which my opponent just plays Bone Crusher Giant and stomps my Baleful Strix, or plays like a Chandra and minuses this turn. I do not care about the goblins because like I'm going to play Curse of Death's Hold, I believe. Yeah, that's the scary timeline, all right. It's happening. Any land, thank you. And I think I do need to play this here rather than try to get Overwhelming Splendor out of the deck. I'm just under too much pressure. And then we can hope to draw a swamp to play Murderous Rider, which will do things. I am very much not favored currently. Yeah, see, like, opponent still thinks this is something that I value, instead of just playing out the threat, which is much more devastating for me. I'm going to die due to unfortunate circumstances this game. Like, the fact that I drew 2 of my curses after starting on an all-in Curse of Misfortunes hand is just like a slap in the face. Because if either one of these 2 had been in the deck, then I just like slam Curse of Misfortunes and like very handily win this game. Because it would get me like Overwhelming Slammer plus Curse of Death's Hold or Overwhelming Splendor plus Cruel Reality. And now, like, I've drawn just like all black cards plus lack of land, so I can't actually cast this. I take 4. I'm not technically dead. Opponent could play an Ensnaring Bridge and help me out. If that gets Liquid Metal Coating, we're done. That gets Lattice, we're also done. Spyglass. Alright, so like opponent is trying to get information, so I will concede rather than let them see what's going on with my hand. Yeah, so I can play something this turn, but like I believe that the damage is done. And showing them another card is probably detrimental. Hello and welcome. Okay, so against Red Prison, these Chalices are going to suck. We're going to want to play like anything else other than them. So Plague Engineers can replace those. Like, that's easy. And then I can play, like, Mystical Dispute as an actual factual 3-mana counterspell. Like a 3-mana mana leak. No, I think I want Spyglass in the sideboard to tutor for. Like, I want to be able to tutor for this to win the game, this to stop aggression, this to stop planeswalkers, this to destroy lands. I want all of that. So, like, the question is, like, is boarding in a Mystical Dispute as another counterspell or boarding in Seat of a Synod as a land better? And, like, just having another blue card that can be pitched to early disruptive spells is probably fine in my book. Like, I don't know that I want to board in more. You know, deck list is perfect as is. Ah, our poor man's astrolabe is here. Reapal Jeep, I think, or I guess HC Fox as well. A lot of our cards are of medium power level in this matchup. I think this is a fine opener, especially if our opponent mulligans. Like, Dovin is awkward versus things like Goblin Rabble Master. Like, despite the fact that we have a decent number of basics, we are still a little bit susceptible to a Blood Moon effect. We're a Chalice deck. I know we had Dark Rituals last game. There's just 2 of them. Oh man, please cast a Chalice on 1. Yes. We will intend on shutting that off with a Karn later. Your Chalice resolves. Mr. Maximus. Turn 3 Karn. Turn 3 Karn is great. I think we're getting black here. Because, as we saw last game, we have plenty of black cards. And this will let us cast the black cards. So we're going to have Karn next turn into Yorion the following turn. This is not a card that I particularly care about at this point, now that I have Prophetic Prism, but it will stop me from casting Karn into Yorion. And I kind of want to play Karn on an empty-ish board. I can just wait this out and then, like, Karn and plus on Prophetic Prism, but I think Karning and shutting off that Chrome Mox is very good. Weird spot. I kinda want to kill this, so maybe they play another, but that might be greedy. I'm just gonna kill their Chrome Mox on the off chance that Karn somehow dies. There's a world where I am supposed to minus here in case my opponent plays very specifically Sorceress Spyglass this turn. Yeah, that's fine. Poor draw. Ensnaring Bridge is awkward to get with a draw of Overwhelming Splendor, which is something I can never cast. I'm going to have to Chrome Mox it away. I think before I make my decision, I'm going to do this. Like, this just sets me up for a better Yorion next turn. And then outside of, like, a stomp, Karn is still alive. So my lines this turn are, like, minus get coding and effectively port them. Or just plus on Prism. I think we're just going to plus on Prism. Opponent has no permanent red sources currently. There's one. Yeah, I am fine with Karn taking 1 damage. Totally good with that. Now is it time to start attacking their lands, or do I just take a draw with the Alpha Strix Prophetic Prism and start trying to turn the corner in that capacity? I think both are totally reasonable. Since I have another Karn, I'm going to try to leverage this Karn's loyalty a little bit using Liquid Metal Coating. Yeah, but I'm not going to just assume that our opponent has nothing, right? Like, there's worlds where, like, I have to worry about Planeswalkers that my opponent plays. I have to worry about, like, Bone Crusher Giants messing up my math. Whereas this is just going to be, like, a slow but no nonsense, basically no risk set of lines. And I don't really care if the Karn, like, dies to removal or anything like that. Yeah, so, like, the Karn can take 2 hits here. I'm good with that. Nice, now I don't even need to use my Soul Land this turn. So we'll go Liquid Metal plus, blow this up, play a land, get a fetch, take another basic. We can attack for 1. Attacking for 1 is slightly awkward if my opponent has a blast, though. I'm not going to squeeze in 1 point of damage and, like, play around a blast a little bit. No, they wouldn't. No. If they had a blast, A, there's a Chalice, and B, they already would have blasted Baleful Strix. So I can take my 1 point of damage here. It's free. Outside of, like, a 3-card combination, and they only have 2 cards in hand. Blink you, blink you, blink you, blink you. Everyone gets blinked. Yeah, kinda. It's super cute because like the coding comes back and in the upkeep I get to port that down as well. um, happy with the sideboarding. Again, can consider Mystical Dispute as something else that I just bring in. But having blink targets as this game goes along is fine. And if I bring in Mystical Dispute, I would be boarding out things like Oath of Jason, Omen of the Sea. Ashiok really isn't great, though. Like, the Ashiok runs into some awkward situations involving their Karn, where I give them more wish targets, and milling them out is a bit of a pipe dream. Can I cut all three of these? If I can cut all three of these, I think I'm good with bringing in these. Yeah, I can cut two and bring in a seat. I am good with that. Weird hand. That is a keep. We're very good against the Goblin side of the deck, and very bad against the Planeswalker side of the deck. It's weird whether or not I'm actually supposed to play the Chrome Mox here. I don't think I'm going to. But it's super awkward if they play a Chalice on 0 next turn. But that's not something that I'm foreseeing at this point. If I wait on playing the Chrome Mox, there's worlds where I don't put Murderous Rider under it, and instead I get to put something else under it. Oh man, they're still chalicing on 1. That is such wicked value. Nice. This turn's weird now. Like, the second Plague Engineer on Goblin is very good, but then having Murderous Rider for Bone Crusher Giant is also sweet. I guess we can trade a Plague Engineer for that anyway. Tabitha, they don't know our deck list very well, and we have the rogue advantage accordingly. So they think they're shutting off a whole bunch of things like Astrolabes, Ponders, Preordains, that sort of stuff, but they're not. So this, playing out 2 of these like this, plays a little bit better around a single removal spell on a Plague Engineer that then turns on their creatures. Ooh. Plussing for mana. Ha! Oh man, they think I care about that so much. That's sweet. We're gonna die to a Fiery Confluence or a Chandra Awakened Inferno here. Just like unquestionably. Yeah, and like we did show them a 1-drop as well, right? Like we showed them Dark Ritual, so like they do know that we have stuff. Yep. Alright, we lost. Play Yorion for no value as a 4/5 that can attack and pressure these planeswalkers is the line. It just doesn't feel good. No blink on the Chrome Mox. Yeah, a curse is admittedly pretty good. So I get to attack and kill this one this turn, and then I probably just have to like turn this sideways and try to aggro them out. Ensnaring Bridge is pretty devastating if they have that. Interesting. Opponent could have killed my Yorion this turn. Everything about this is bad. I have to kill that and then try to race these. Which is maybe not happening. I'm going to counter this. What is it? I'm going to counter it. Or am I? This takes me off of blue-blue for future pieces of counter magic. Yeah, I will. I will begrudgingly counter that. No, I don't think I get the luxury of letting anything go at this point. Like, I think I have to use my resources while I can. I'm not going to get to, like, pitch cast a Force of Will and lose life, given double emblem here. Alright, now I believe I have no outs. I mean, I knew exactly what was going to beat us when we played out the two Plague Engineers this hand. Like, we were very, very good against the creature side and very, very bad against the Planeswalker side. The fact that our opponent had 2 Planeswalkers was unbeatable with that hand. That is what it is. Overall, this deck felt clunky. My Yorions were not very good. Like, not most. A few times when we cast Yorion, like, we had no blink targets in play because we have so many things like Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Chalice of the Void that, like, gain and accrue no value by blinking them. So, like, Oath of Jace felt too slow. I was not gung-ho about casting Omen of the Sea. And there's kind of this glut of things to do at the top end, including the 3-drops here, like, because the 3-drops are hard to cast. I don't think this deck does any one thing well enough to be competitive as it stands currently. So this deck is trying to do a lot of things. It's trying to be a Planeswalker control deck. It's trying to be a Curse deck. It's trying to be a Yorion deck. It's trying to be a Mana Acceleration deck while also being a Force of Will deck. And there's a lot of tension. Like, some cards can't be imprinted under Chrome Mox. Some of the cards you want to accelerate out can't be accelerated out via Dark Ritual. Many of your cards, if they are pitched to Force of Will, result in you not having blink targets for when you get around to your Yorion. The Yorion resetting Planeswalker loyalty is super cool, but I don't know that this deck is focused enough to consistently put up results. I think you are going to bully the ever-loving shit out of combo decks, though. Like, taking a look at the strengths of this deck, because I do think that this deck does have strengths. I'm being critical and constructive right now, in case that's not clear. But, like, if we look at... Let's drag some of this stuff back over so I can get it all on screen. If we look at what this deck can do against combo decks in Game 1, it has 20 cards which very likely win the game on their own versus combo. And to a lesser extent, Curse of Misfortunes also can mise wins versus some combo decks. So like Curse of Misfortunes that resolves against something like Infect gets Curse of Death's Hold and they're done for. Or Overwhelming Splendor making it around versus Show and Tell is pretty devastating as well. So I think this deck is going to be very good against combo, but I'm super worried about Wasteland decks. I'm kind of worried against Delver decks. And, like, Oko is still going to be a problem. Like, overall, I don't really know what to tell you to do to improve the deck. Like, I would like a greater degree of focus. So, like, I think, like, Curse Prison on its own works well, but diluting the deck by 20 cards and then also making the mana kind of weird is maybe not where you want to be if you want to go on that plan. Similarly, I think, like, the Yorion Planeswalker stuff is totally fine, but if you're doing the Yorion Planeswalker Blinky stuff, like, shouldn't you really be, like, an Astrolabe deck? Like, shouldn't, like, at that point, that just be, like, a bug snow deck with, like, Chalice and Abundant Growth and Icefang Coatl, rather than, like, the stuff that's in this Curses shell as well? Because, like, the whole Curses package, like, those 7 cards do not contribute to the Yorion plan. Blinking this stuff is, like, not really getting you anywhere. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say about the deck. Well, fine and dandy. They're shifting Ceratops, which has protection from blue, which means protection from Oko and Jace, and some other blue planeswalkers as well. That's pretty close. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you today. I'm going to be back on Saturday. Today's Thursday, right? Things are getting a little bit blurry. I'll be back on Saturday with some more Magic action. I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to Honorog for a little bit more Legacy action. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and if you're enjoying the content, please consider doing something to support it, and have a great rest of the night.